the first player? Should we hash this out first? Or we can both just say it at the same time.
You can introduce the first player.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your permission. In the top right, we have the red Terran player representing Team Liquid. He's Clem.
Bottom left, blue Protoss. They have the underdog here. Is NightPhoenix.
That icon looks pretty cool too in the the interface. It's just a little spooky, little spooky setup. I love to see it.
It's like he joined a team just for Halloween this year.
You thought Spirit Halloween only took over dead malls, but they'll take over your StarCraft team as well if it's free real estate.
Apparently, he is part of Hot-Headed Gaming, so that is. Ooh. Yeah, I can see it from the logo. It's just if it wasn't October, then I'd.
That's true. He picked a really good time to be on this team for this tournament. We'll say that much.
Maybe they should rebrand in October. Just Pumpkin Team Pumpkin. I don't know.
Wait till you see my Halloween costume next week, Wardy. Are you on Thursday or Friday? That'll be good times.
I think I'm on Saturday.
I'm ready to upset the guy that shows up for some very serious StarCraft. It's gonna be fantastic.
I will look forward to it, man. Yeah, I only have a Saturday. I actually think I was meant to be, but then I swapped some days out with James because he had to fly to do other games and stuff. You know how it is, hosting life. You get invited to other games.
You guys are, you gotta go. You gotta go to like Bali or something and have some champagne on a skyscraper. I get it. The host life. Bunker up in the mineral line of NightPhoenix is natural. And this is something that we have seen, jokes aside, lots of this early Reaper pressure. It's not like that double gas build with the crazy fast factory. He does follow it up, but otherwise it's just a regular old Reaper expand against an otherwise unassuming cybernetics core expand from NightPhoenix. The probe will get popped by the Reaper, and that bunker is going to finish. Now this is crucial. The Adept really does not want to let this Reaper get back over to that base, but there's not so much that he can really do. He's going to get that second hit. 3 attacks from the Adept will do it. And that actually, I mean, the probes aren't in the natural, so it's not like buying this time has done much yet. But if he just zones the Reaper away, then actually pretty effective shutdown here from NightPhoenix. The bunker is still there, but it's been a very difficult process for Clem to actually try to use it.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously getting in the bunker is generally part one of being successful. Yeah, that's a good grenade. Doesn't get him access to the bunker, but gets him around the top side so he can get into the main for a little scout. So that's fantastic. Obviously, just going to be able to pick up on that Phoenix that's building, so getting to see the scout. And now you know, well, hey, it's Phoenix, and we all know that Phoenix obviously pretty good units defending a lot of the early pressure. We'll see how much Clem commits into Hellions here, if he just wants to stick with 2 into Widowmine drop, or if he wants to go for just more Hellions and a drop with the starport back at home. I'd say it's more likely we see Widowmines after, and that is exactly what he goes into.
Yeah, that double Widowmines and the Phoenix being built on the part of NightPhoenix. I guess that's really fitting, huh? How on brand. It'd kind of be weird if you named yourself after a unit and you just never built it. So I didn't even think about that, of all the horrible jokes I could have made, and here it is right in front of my face. Yeah, this little Stargate opener.
That one was actually right there, wasn't it, Nate? Now the question is it late enough for NightPhoenix to be at full power? Or is he going to be kind of taken down by the sunlight?
Well, do we go by the rules? Like, the tournament is Europe, and it's definitely nighttime in Europe. Pretty much everywhere in Europe, I'm going to guess.
6:30?
I think legally you're legally at least in the evening.
Evening? Yeah. So, okay, so he might be off power on his first part of his name, but full power on the second part, at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
If the series goes long enough, and the Adepts go into the natural, and he gets a couple of hits. One of the Adepts does get instantly blown up, and this is kind of the hard part of harassing Terran, is you need 3 Adepts to one-shot the SCV. So now the Hellions go for the counterattack, and there's nothing here. He's gonna have to recall, but 3 probes already getting killed, and the potential for a few more was definitely still there. So the Phoenix come in to deal with this, but little damage done by Clem is going to even the worker count. And as we know, we're going to say this every day until the day the servers are finally down, but if Terran gets on even workers with Protoss, they are feeling good. Those mules are going to pull the money in, and Clem is going to get a whole lot of units out.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely right. He is going to be feeling pretty good about this. The eco is definitely already shifting in his favor a lot more than what you would like to have it as if you're NightPhoenix in this situation. So, yeah, not ideal. The Phoenix having to, recall back, and now they get back across, but there's too many units for them to now have really much of an opening to do anything as well. So that's a little bit problematic also. Yeah, it's not looking like a pretty start here, and stuff like being on only 2 bases still isn't great. You've got an Immortal, you're not quite on the Robo Bay yet. It feels like Clem will hit a timing where it feels like NightPhoenix isn't even going to be on his, Colossus by the time Clem hits with the bio upgrades.
And that AoE unit's going to be so important. The Robo Bay is almost done, so he can move into it, but that's a lot of money that he's going to need, and of course, the extended thermal lance upgrade is you have to have it. The Colossus doesn't really do its job without the upgrade. So the Phoenix continue to poke, and there's some opportunity here to delay the move out of Clem for the Colossus, and that's kind of the process of this build that you like to see. Stim isn't done yet, so he can't try and just dive onto the Phoenix if they get too close. It's a lot of opportunity to poke and prod. Is going to get some of the Widow Mines there, and I think even one of these medevacs got left at home to be repaired, so delaying some of the actual power of this attack. That medevac, you want to have that catch up, and he's going to grab. I think just peeled a Marauder off the end, so not too bad actually control wise from NightPhoenix. Even with that Reaper delay at the start, we can see he definitely understands what he needs to do. Now let's find out if he can execute as Clem is outside of that third base.
Yeah, 1 Colossus probably is just about going to be enough here. It was nice for him to slow things down and pick up a few units, and it's definitely what you needed to do. And now, actually not looking so bad for him. He does have that Colossus out, and Clem turned away. I mean, all of a sudden, I'm like, hey, he's got a lead. He's got a Colossus. We'll see how he does against the future attacks of Clem, though, but because that can obviously change everything. But just so far, pushing the first army away, definitely a step in the right direction, and NightPhoenix can be happy about that, if nothing else for now.
Yeah, does get the Viking for a few of the Phoenix. And I mean, there's definitely a thought process to the Stargate opener going into Colossus that the Phoenix will prevent drops from being a problem. They can kind of zone away the Vikings, but he's lost a few of the Phoenix. So I think if you want to just dive with your medevacs through this, you can. I think for Clem, you need to be concerned about whether you can retreat if the Colossus gets up there, but he doesn't have blink. He doesn't have charge. So if he were to unload 3 medevacs of bio inside of NightPhoenix's main, I think he would get a lot done. But he's going to respect that paltry Phoenix force. Just the 3 of them, I don't think could really stop him if he wanted, but he doesn't want to risk it. Underestimating NightPhoenix would probably be the one way that Clem could throw this game.
Lovely little observer there in the middle right, just getting to spot this army and really watching every move of it right now, although it feels like Clem is almost saying, hey, look, I see you, move. And if you don't move, I'm going to scan you. Yeah, I mean, he gave it fair warning. He gave it the little get out of here wiggle, but NightPhoenix refused to accept that he had been sighted. So Observer does go down, and Clem is going to be able to just remove some of that information that NightPhoenix was gathering. That's obviously really nice, because now NightPhoenix doesn't know if Clem is dropping, if he's positioned on the bottom or the top. And these are things that Clem can use to his advantage to put himself in a much better spot than he was in before.
Yeah. So the Vikings continue to come out since he does need them for the Colossus, and that helps to push away the Phoenix. But he's on an even number of bases. Clem still has this big army waiting on the outside. And to NightPhoenix's credit, he's been able to macro up pretty decently so far, has not taken that big blow that the Terran would like to deliver. But I think the struggle becomes, is NightPhoenix going to make this about this huge attack as charge finishes? Or is he going to just try and take the 4th base? And if he's going to expand and want to play that big macro game, he does start the Nexus in the top left. Clem immediately sees it. Then Clem is going to start to do those multi-pronged drops. A couple Phoenix will not be able to stop that. We're going to see things get a little bit hectic, get a little bit crazy. And if Clem's able to pull them apart, we know that that's where his strengths lie in hitting those multi-prong attacks.
Yeah. It just feels as well as if Clem hits that top left, you can jump into the main, drop into the natural, goes unseen right. Already feels like Clem's set up to do exactly what you said, just start to pick him apart. It's obvious because that's what Clem's just really good at, like you say. So into the natural we go, and this way you gotta start responding. That forge is right on the edge. It's one of the things you just do not want to have so accessible anywhere else. You don't lose the upgrade. Now you lose your +1 attack, and that's just gonna keep the Colossi from really reaching the strength they'd like to be at. And with EMPs here, this is maybe a little bit scary as well. The Vikings plus the EMP can shred Colossi given the opportunity.
Yeah, good save on the Colossus with the Prism, then targeting down by Clem. A nice little counter back to that. But these Stalkers are not, they're not the scary Stalkers that go bump in the night.
No.
They don't have blink. They're just little, little Roombas rolling around while the Colossus floats away into the abyss. But a nice move out there from Clem. I mean, getting the +1 attack, like you were saying, that's the big thing. You want those Colossi to help melt the Marines, but you know what works without upgrades? The Disruptor. And NightPhoenix is transitioning into those. He does have one with this army, but this position actually allows Clem to spread out pretty nicely. And you're talking about those EMPs. Colossus is super dead. Another one comes out. Weirdly enough, the Colossus is still mechanical, so landed Vikings actually dumpster them too if they're able to shoot them.
Yeah, I was like, no, the Vikings landing. Like, actually, that's probably okay.
Yeah, it's like, accidentally landing Vikings by Colossi nowadays is a strong move if there's not a bunch of zealots and immortals there to one-shot them. But kind of falls in line with the expectations we had with that game 1 result. Just coming out strong. We expect to see that from Clem. He has made enough mistakes in this group that he could actually somehow be eliminated. So this series, he needs to treat like it is a finals, like it is a playoff match, and he brought out about as much as you can expect from this game.
Yeah, there was like a moment where I was like, oh, am I a bit worried for Clem? And it's like, it lasted like a split second and it just disappeared again. I'm like, okay, no, I wasn't really worried for Clem. Was like momentarily, it was like maybe a little bit scary, but it turned out okay. So yeah, no, just Clem doing what Clem does, looking good, looking convincing throughout, and just making sure the game didn't get away from him. Super ready to just go and jump on different bases. Didn't engage too soon as well, I think is most important, right? Like, he didn't pick a fight just because it's like, oh yeah, I can just go and win right now. And that's so easy to do when you feel like a hefty favorite. But no, he took every part of this very seriously. And like I said, I think that's completely the right approach to take when, like you say, you've got to treat this like a playoff match because, yeah, you lose this and it's not guaranteed you go out, but it's very possible that you do. And
it's very realistic.
Yeah, and I was actually going to say one of the cool things is because Goblin lost, suddenly Clem might be somewhat possible to kind of get top 2 again because he's at least one of the players that was potentially going to be 5-2 now, maybe not going to be there. So there is that possibility because Gungfu plays max pack, so one of those will drop to 5-2. So if Clem can get good enough map score, maybe he does still have top 2 in his sights as well.
Yeah, and you gotta think about it the other way too. If he loses, then his next series tomorrow is against Hearthstone. So if you lose to the underdog here, there's absolutely no reason why you wouldn't also be able to lose then, and that's what makes it scary. So he's gonna try to follow through on the swing, hit it out of the park, and keep on running into the playoffs. He's the Red Terran. He's Clem.
In the bottom left, that blue Protoss player. This is NightPhoenix.
So yeah, that's I will say this. There's been a trend, and for the upsets, there's only 2 things that have really seemed to be what works, Wardy, and it's either the all-out insane one-based aggression, which has worked several times for quite a few players and some of the PvPs especially. And then I'll give this one the King Cobra special, where it's just the ridiculous build that just plays around baiting your opponent into throwing the game. Like we saw with his +1 armor Mothership Rush, which was somehow able to tank 15 Phoenix attacking it because, well, motherships are, I mean, they are the Giga Chads of StarCraft too. But all that to say, I don't want NightPhoenix to play the straight up style. There were some cool signs that he could execute. Like, the bunker got up in his mineral line and didn't do anything, which is very impressive because that has won several games for Clem already, even in this tournament. So he's showing some good understanding, some good control, but I don't think you're going to outplay him head to head. And that's not meant to be a diss. But everybody else that's getting these upsets, they're not doing it by playing 40-minute macro games.
No. That's actually very true. A lot of the upsets, only like Geralt in the PvP against Showtime, right? I think that's the only 40-minute macro game upset we've probably seen in the last 3 seasons.
Again, Fleet Beacon is necessary for that. If NightPhoenix wants to do a 2-base carrier rush turtle, I actually think it could work, even versus Terran. I think he'd have better odds with that than trying to play straight up style.
Hey, he's called NightPhoenix, not Night Carrier.
That's true. You know what? You're right. I think it's like the license to kill. Like if you don't kill, then you lose it, right? If you don't use it, you lose it. So if he's NightPhoenix, I think he's legally obligated to build Phoenix. So we know what's coming out of the Stargate then.
Yeah, I think it's in his DreamHack contract, actually, so... Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah. It was foretold. He literally could not have built anything else from that Stargate.
Yeah, not without giving up too much prize money, I think. Sure.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, this is not actually real before someone makes some dumb threat.
Guys, I know you think you're watching a game of StarCraft, but every single frame of the stream today is presented by an artificial intelligence bot. We just typed in underdog loses PVT, and it's going frame by frame right now. It actually took 6 weeks to render this, but we're just playing all of them one after another to make it look like it's happening in real time. It's beautiful what you can do with technology.
Technology is just wild nowadays, Nate. It's getting out of hand.
It truly is. It truly is. So that Phoenix will go in and scout. That is a nice part of having it. Unlike an Oracle, it cannot actually do anything, but it's a little bit faster. So I think anyway. So it can at least go and see what's happening, pull back, and it would not have died to a random Widow Mine. It would have just been maimed instead, which you can't repair things as Protoss, which is the reason why I refuse to play it. But at least you wouldn't lose the unit. He does grab this Hellion though. So that's a nice grab. We know Clem likes to use those as aggressively as he can.
Yeah, just gonna knock that down, and obviously just one less thing to kind of help Clem out, because you might not think it's much, but a Hellion can actually get a few probes if you have to pull probes here, a bit of splashing after that. You never know, right? Maybe even just slip by for scouting information as well is a very potent use of it, right? So a lot of reasons just to clean it out is, well, I feel like NightPhoenix is not really set up well because all of the Phoenix are on the wrong position. So this attack, if it just walks into the natural, could have huge amounts of potential. Unfortunately for Clem, he's going to miss that opportunity. He's going to play it safe, pull it back, and I guess that's part of the thing, right? He's playing like, life is on the line. He can't afford to be over-eager or to believe he's the favorite too heavily. That could have been a huge moment for him.
Yeah. Underestimation is a great way to lose when you should be, you should be the favorite. As much as people, that's probably one of the coolest things about the pro StarCraft scene is there's that mystique about, oh, well, if you play this guy 100 times, you couldn't beat him. And StarCraft is a game where that is actually a true thing. It can be true.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the units don't magically change just because you're better than someone, right? Like there are always flaws in the strategy. There are always things that you can exploit, and your opponent doesn't just automatically start off with +1 attack just because they're the favorite. So Phoenix come in to harass, see what they can find. There is a cheeky medevac available, trying to peel back the one that was locked onto by the Cyclone. Does a little lift up micro to avoid it, but instead will lose to Phoenix, and the medevac will get repaired. So Clem makes a little defense, not too much of a problem, and all NightPhoenix can do is just expand behind it and go back into Colossus again.
Yeah, not really much you can do, right? Like you say, just take an expansion, get your Colossus up and go from there. But already you're only on 2 Phoenix right now. Well, Phoenix are meant to be something that are really committed to throughout the game. When you play Phoenix Colossus, they're meant to be a huge support unit for the Colossus. What do you do now that that's almost just taken away from you? Because 2 Phoenix isn't a support unit. 2 Phoenix is just going to get shut down very easily. It's going to be very minimal. Yeah, we're going to start building them up again now, but I do worry a little bit for this kind of first timing, because just a Colossus being out against this time might not be good enough because the Phoenix on there to support. Because he's got an Immortal as well. Clem's going to go dropping. That's something else he can do against the lower Phoenix count. That's another issue that NightPhoenix finds himself in.
Yep, he sees that the 3rd command center is going to land, but that's not going to be super helpful for him, as he's going to need everything at home to deal with this. Extended Thermal Lance is only halfway done. And you were talking about it. There's a drop going into the main. He could just kill that, and then the Colossus is worthless. So.
I'll say recall, I guess most of the army, but if he recalls too much of the army here in the main base, the 3rd is just completely open. Last game, Nate, you talked about the ability just to pull people apart, and I think Clem's going to do that right now. Drop in the main, successful. Attack on the 3rd base, successful, right? This is going to die. I mean, you've already used your recall to get into the main, so okay, we're going to pop the super battery. It'll go down before there's even any units here to really utilize it. And Clem just says, cool, don't even need to go for the base, can just go for the units. He starts to do just that. GG.